There we go. Now we're live. So, like I was saying, welcome into everybody. Welcome everyone to this live session. Today is Sunday, December 17th. We're going to get started with market news first. I just posted the link inside the Discord right now. Forex Factory is what we use for the news and the Forex calendar of the week of Sunday, December 17th. Our trading weeks start with Sundays. Now, for the people that are new in the server, thank you for letting me know, so that way I can definitely go over the basics when it comes to news. Now, in the link, Forex Factory, you're going to see news relating to certain pairs, right? So currency pairs, it's going to tell you the level. Level 1, which is the lowest, will be yellow folder. Level 2, which is medium, is going to be orange folders. And level 3, which is the highest volatility, are red folders. You can see the colors right there on your screen. I'm also going to send a screenshot into the Discord right now with a picture of what the folders look like. Right, so you're gonna see red, you're gonna see orange, you're gonna see yellow, and those pertain to the currencies. Currency pairs, quick Google search away if you're not familiar with them. It's gonna tell you what they stand for, but we are going to be focusing in on USD. Now, if you do trade exotic pairs or you trade the majors or the minors of other pairs not related to USD, keep in mind USD at all times. You're not safe. When that red folder news on USD comes out, no one in the market is safe. No currency pair is safe. So just be very, very careful of that, right? Now, without further ado, Sunday, we do not have any red folder news. Monday, we do have red folder news. Red folder news are going to be for the Aussie dollar and the Japanese yen, right? Tuesday, we do have red folder news as well. We have Japanese yen again, and then we have the Canadian dollar with red folder. Wednesday, red folder news that we have is the British pound, GBP, and then we also have USD. Like I said, whenever USD comes in play and it's a red folder news, beware on every single pair that's in the market, right? I usually don't trade an hour before the news and an hour after the news. Anytime I'm trading in the news, which I rarely do, I consider it gambling. So just stay out of it, right? Unless you're trying to gamble your way to higher percentages, it's not worth it. Thursday, we're looking at red folder news, USD. Friday, we're looking at red folder news. We have 3 different pairs. We have the British pound, Canadian dollar, and then USD twice. So once at 8:30 a.m. and then again at 10 a.m. So be careful of the market conditions on Friday. Now let's jump into the charts. We are going to jump on the weekly charts for NAS. Can you guys see my screen perfectly fine? Need to clean these up a little bit. Had some good trades this week, guys. Oof. Actually, let me jump on. I'm gonna jump on the futures chart because it's more accurate for you guys, so you can see this is gonna be the bigger liquidity pool when it comes to NASDAQ. We're gonna jump on the weekly here, and that way I can also keep track of my trades on my broker, which is ACAP on Forex. Let me get a thumbs up, guys. You guys can see my screen perfectly fine. Just making sure, especially with the conditions of Discord lately, there's been a bunch of errors. I just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen perfectly fine. Let me get a thumbs up from anybody here. It says my stream is still running. You guys can see my screen? Yeah, it works good. All right, cool. Just making sure. All right, so last week we did go over a couple of points of interest. We identified this daily fair value gap, which it didn't even tap into. It literally just took off like a rocket. We did identify 2 different levels, right? So the fact that it broke through 15,719.75, we did identify that area here. We were looking that it broke through and closed right here at 16,087.75. Right, so the moment it did that and then tapped into this fair value gap over here that we identified, 16,246, we were already bullish on this. Now once it broke through here and closed above this fair value gap that it created, then our next levels of liquidity were these 2 levels here that we identified on last week's live. So the levels were this one over here, 16,772, and then also 16,676. We identified those levels. We did set our alerts for 16,666, and we also set our alerts for 16,769. And we were bullish, and breaking this 4 hour we were heading straight into those two levels. Now I wasn't expecting to hit those levels so fast. I was not expecting to hit those levels this week at all. I was expecting a couple more weeks for it to happen, but with the volatility behind Nas at the moment, it's crazy. We're making insane movements within such a short period of time. Weekly is still bullish, extremely bullish. We're going to identify some fair value gaps. We can see here we have a fair value gap that overlaps with the 4 hour. We're going to identify this. We're going to copy it. We are on the weekly time frame right now. All right, you guys can see that right there. Fair value gaps or market imbalances are left over after a strong displacement, either up or down in the market. Whenever you see your candles, this is for the newer guys that are in the server at the moment. Whenever you see a candle like this, right, remember this is the body of the candle, the solid part. Now you got wicks on top as well. Now what happens when you have nothing testing the body of the candle before and nothing testing after, right? So this candle has nothing, no price action that touches in the candle before or in the candle after. Leaves this entire gap here, this area. That area remains valid until it gets tested again in the opposite direction. Since we are going up, if it gets tested coming down, taps into it and goes up, or if it gets tested coming down and breaking through it, that makes this completely mitigated and no longer valid. For now, it is still valid. We're gonna highlight this blue because we are bullish. Coordinates for this so you guys can tap in and mark this out on your charts. 16256.25, 16208.50. We always want to focus as our point of entry the 50% mark. Now this is something I do. This is something I've found out is extremely, I wouldn't say extremely, but I would say more probable, more higher chance of it happening, occurring, is it taps into the 50% mark, and then if it's along with our price action and it follows everything that we wanted it to, it's going to tap into that area, does not close below it, just wicks through it a little bit and it comes right back up, right? So we always aim for the 50% mark because that's like the sweet spot. Coordinate for that's going to be 16232.50. We're going to color it blue because we are bullish. I like to use this little teal right here, same color as EZAlgo. Text, we're going to label it. This is a weekly fair value gap 50% mark. Very important level. Put your alerts on there. We should definitely see some action there. This 4 hour fair value gap. So as you can see, this little wick right here, we are on the weekly. What happened was we started out the week higher than that wick that is down there and tapped into it. Now as we go into a lower time frame, we'll be able to see it better. Right now we are on the weekly. That's the closest weekly level that we do have. And we also have an opening gap over here, which this has been mitigated. So let's close that out. This is the closest level that we have identified as a point of interest on the weekly time frame. Let's go down into the daily time frame. All right, this is the daily time frame, and as you can see on the daily time frame, you have fair value gap here, fair value gap there, fair value gap here as well. You have a bunch of fair value gaps. Over here is the weekly liquidity. Tapped into it, broke through both of them on a daily, and then just sat. It kind of sat there, tapped into the liquidity, continued up. Right, we are still bullish. We will identify these daily levels. It's a lot, honestly. It's a lot of levels, but we're gonna identify them because there's gonna be some crazy action in them. Let's identify this first one here. Let's bring it over a little bit. Levels for this: 16397.75. Bottom of that, 16332. Take a screenshot. When I label this level blue because we're bullish. Daily fair value gap 50% mark. Coordinates for that one, take a screenshot: 16366. You can also see the levels over here as I'm marking them. I'll expand this a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Let's identify this other fair value gap. Remember, we're doing bodies. So the body, and then there's nothing testing it until that point. Crazy the volume behind Nas. It's freaking scary. For any of you guys in here, do you understand what a fair value gap is? Is this making any sense to you at the moment? This fair value gap over here, coordinates are 16575.25. Bottom of it is 16462.25. Halfway point, which is the 50% mark. I'm going to label it daily fair value gap 50%. Coordinate 16518.25. And then last but not least, 16616. Daily fair value gap 50% mark. Coordinates for that 16629.25, 16601.75. $16,575.25, 16462.25, and then let's go over this one again. 16397.75, 16332. Cool. It does get a little bit messy sometimes when it's just doesn't stop moving. Right now we have insane movement to the upside. It's very bullish. Let's go down to 4 hours, see if we can cut some noise. What we're looking on the 4 hour is, wow, that's beautiful. Look at that. That's pretty much what we wanted to see on the 4 hour, right? So we're looking on the 4 hour to see if any levels overlap with the fair value gaps, and we're also looking for a clearer price action on the 4 hour, especially on candle closures. Look at this, how beautiful. Accumulation, and then news comes in, Powell speaks, blast off. 4 hour, almost to the T. And if you guys saw my video last week, you'll see I identified this area right here, this exact level where it bounced off. This was a point of interest that we identified in last week's video, live right here on the Discord. Right, and then you can see on the 4 hour, it pretty much sat closed right above it and then pushed up. So this level is still valid. So by bouncing off here, it validated this level, and now it's mitigated, meaning that whatever was going to happen in this level has already happened. Also, if you see here, Wednesday, this candle was created. Thursday, it tapped into this 50% mark, right? So we always try to go in for the 50% mark. So if you do body, to contested, right? We go the candle before and we do the candle after. Nothing is here, something is here right here. This is the wick. So we stop right there. Then we do the 50% mark. 50% mark is our point of entry, which is right there. And if you would do an entry based on the 50% with the stop loss below the previous candle that caused the fair value gap, and then do 2 to 1, a lot of times it plays out. This time it has not played out yet, but to be continued. You also have another daily fair value gap right underneath here. Now this has actually been, no, it has not been mitigated yet. We just identified it. So the moment it plays out in this area, then it becomes mitigated. So right here, this tapped into the 50% mark perfectly. Collect the liquidity below it. Blast it off. Right on this point of interest. And continuation. In theory, it should still continue going up until it hits that 2 to 1 mark. Now, we've identified levels on the weekly, levels on the daily, and levels on the 4 hour. Does everybody feel comfortable with Nas? Has everybody set their alerts? Does everyone's chart look kind of more or less like mine at the moment? And then with your alert set, you should definitely be able to get into the trades at the optimal moment with very high confluence. Please, please, please reply in the chat, in the Discord, and let's keep going. Does anybody have any questions? If not, give me 3 thumbs up. I need 3 thumbs up from you guys in the Discord, and then we'll move on to the next charts. Right before I move on to the next chart, I'm also going to identify a point of interest level, liquidity level on NAS. While I'm waiting on you guys to put in those thumbs, I'm going to go on the weekly to see how the price action looks. So guys, we are at all-time high levels right now. We are making history. You guys are a part of history. There is nothing to compare these levels to because we are at all-time highs. So it can only go one or two ways: continuation to the upside until infinity, or retracement. Right, we're looking for a market structure shift, bearish with a displacement and a fair value gap left behind on a kind of higher time frame. We're looking at a daily time frame. Then we're gonna go from daily to 4 hour to 1 hour to 15 minute, and then we're gonna try to ride that down. Right now we are at all-time high. Jake is writing something in the chat. I heard the SPDR is up 7 weeks in a row. SPDR is up 7 weeks in a row. Should get a nice pullback. Honestly, I wish I could comment on that. I have no idea how the stock market works. But yeah, man, I've heard great things about the stock market for the past few months. A lot of the big known indices are bullish, very bullish, and they've confirmed the bull run for like months so far already. And it looks like now that crypto is like following suit. But like I said, I don't know anything about the stock market. I just know there's a lot of great market conditions right now. We're hitting a lot of all-time highs. Gold hit an all-time high. NAS is hitting an all-time high. That's pretty much all I got when it comes to like the stock market. Everything else I do is Forex. Let's go into gold right now. We're going to metals. What's gold? Gold. I love gold. We are on the weekly time frame. Sorry if it looks a little bit sloppy. We have identified some great levels, and we need to keep an eye on those levels. A good friend of mine told me we're going to pretty much die down to 1700, which is right over here. Weekly fair value got 50% mark. He's pretty much telling me that we're going to, right now, after this retracement here on the 4th of December, when we went all the way up to like 20 and 100, right? 2100, yeah, 2135. He pretty much said like all-time high was hit, all the liquidity was taken. It's only down from here, but who knows, right? We'll watch the market carefully. We are getting bearish candles, so we have this bearish engulfing. No, because these are wicks, right? So it doesn't really count as a bearish engulfing. It's about the same size as this bullish candle right here, but then you also have like a doji candle following by another doji candle forming. So you have these bearish price action candles right here. So in theory, we should continue going downwards into this level that we have identified here. The level is, excuse me, 1898, 1879, right? These are the levels. We should see something play out in this area over here. We also have a really good level right here and right here. I like this one a lot better than I like the first one. Reason being is this one overlaps with the 4 hour fair value gap. So you have a daily and 4 hour. You have two different confluences right here. And then if you see over here, if you look left, you're going to see a lot of rejection from this level as support and as resistance as well, like right over here. Off. If you see those wicks, you see those reaction, see how it just bounces up. Here it plays out a little bit better, but you'll see like wicks into the area, bounce off, wicks into the area, bounce off. Right, so it gives us a good understanding of this area here being a key area as a point of interest. So for weekly, I'd say we're looking for bearish opportunities based on the bearish price action, but it's kind of like consolidating in a way here. Let's go down to the daily, see how the daily looks. All right. Daily makes me feel a little bit better. Reason being is you have a lower low here. And then a lower high forming right here. This is the lower high, lower low, higher high. And now you should see another lower low forming. We're going to see how this plays out. We are on a daily time frame. This is a level right here that we need to identify. This is a point of interest on the daily. Let's zoom in over here. So remember, we do nothing before, nothing after. So the candle before and the candle after. 50% mark is right over here. Let's identify and mark that. We might even tap into this level tonight. So that's a good thing that we do this on Sunday. If you're trading London session, this might actually be tapped into at 3 a.m. on the London session today. The level for this is 2010.36. We're going to name this daily fair value gap, 50% mark. The actual area itself, 2023.67, 1996.82. This might actually play out tonight in the London session. Not only has to go down a little bit and then continuation upwards. This is your buy side liquidity area right here. We're going to label this. I want you guys to keep an eye on this level. It is a very important level. This is our buy side liquidity. Candle closes above it. It's going to continue upwards. Candle gets rejected off it or breaks through and then comes right back underneath it and closes. It means it got enough liquidity for continuation to the downside. Keep a really good eye on this level here. Coordinate for this level, 2072.57. If you guys want to mark it, very important level to watch. Especially now that officially here, all-time high, 2072.90. Candle closure on the daily. Another level that we did identify last week, this daily fair value got 50% mark. This one's at 1986.08. Make sure to set your alerts on that, label it. You have 3 different news events this week that should definitely influence the outcome of this. Now, like I said, red folder news, borderline gambling if you're trading it. But higher time frame price action, weekly and daily, are bearish. So do with that as you will. Just be very careful entering during news events. Now you also have this level over here. Very high quality level. Daily and 4-hour overlap on the 50%. Level for this is 1952.43. And then we're going to identify one more level here. 2, excuse me. 1898, which is a 4-hour fair value gap 50%. That overlaps inside of a daily and a weekly. Have that one. Alert set. Have that identified. Very, very important because it is a weekly. It is a lot more volume and a lot more probable. Weekly fair value gap 50% mark, 1879.49. Cool. So we identify the closest fair value gaps and points of interest when it comes to gold. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to gold? Does everybody feel comfortable since we identified the weekly, daily, and a couple 4 hours that are still active? Guys, if you're lost or confused, please post in the chat. I'm monitoring the chat as we're going through this. Don't feel free to ask any questions. Remember, we're here to learn from each other and we're here to make each other better traders. Remember, the point of this session right now, the Sunday sessions, is for us to get into the habit of identifying points of interest going into the market week. So that way we feel confident in our trades. Also prevent over trading because we're only trading in the points of interest that we've identified. And then also making sure our strategies align with those points of interest, right? So we're not just YOLOing into trades because we feel like, oh, okay, it's bearish or bullish on the lower time frames. No, we've already identified the points of interest on higher time frames, and we're going to play it out with the trend. Remember, the trend is your friend when it comes to this, right? Just following the trend itself is going to increase your win rate by following the trend. I do see Jake writing a message. I am a total noob. What are you looking for within the fair value gap? So this is a question by Spinning Coyote. Jake says, I am a trend trader. Yeah, just trade with the trend. Sometimes I trade against the trend, and I do get some really good victories, but trade with the trend. Just follow the trend. Trend is your friend. Coyote, what are you looking for within the fair value gap? So the only thing that I'm looking for within the fair value gap is for it to actually be a proper fair value gap, right? So we're going to zoom in right here on the charts on gold. We're looking for a massive move, right? So as you can see here, we have bearish candle, bearish candle, bearish candle, and then a massive move, right? Massive volume, huge candle. This is called a displacement. So we're looking for a displacement that leaves behind a fair value gap, which is that area that has nothing testing it before and nothing testing it after. You need that, right? And then when that aligns with the continuation of the trend, so let's say we're in a bullish momentum and then you have a strong bullish displacement, giant candle that leaves behind a fair value gap, and it's also a bullish candle, bullish fair value gap, bullish momentum overall trend, then it's pretty much going with the trend, right? We're looking at those fair value gaps as our entry levels. A lot of ICT, smart money concepts, inner circle traders, whatever you want to call it, use fair value gaps as the point of entry, right? So if you see on my charts right now, I have it highlighted, daily fair value gap 50% mark. This is an extremely common area of entry when it comes to playing with fair value gaps. So the majority of the traders, what they do is, at the end of the day, whatever strategy you pick is going to be your strategy. But I'll say this, the majority of the traders that do trade ICT or smart money concepts, the 50% mark is the point of entry. That is your limit order, right? So I'm going to show you right now, in theory, what they would do. They would do this. So we are bullish, bullish momentum, bullish fair value gap. I'm opening a long position. 50% mark, the candle that caused this, I'm going to go to the wick, right? I usually do the wick to be safer. It's usually a fair value gap with 3 candles. You have 1, 2, 3, and then the second candle is the one that has a fair value gap. So you would do just below the first candle, not the candle that's fair value gap, but in this instance, there is no first candle. This is the only candle. We'll put it right underneath the wick for a safe stop loss. This is your point of entry, and then you target 2 to 1. Now, you have a buy side liquidity right here. There's nothing else that's testing it before then. This already has tested out. So this area here was bullish and then extremely bearish. Everything here has been tested. So it's pretty much free to go into this area with nothing else like pretty much stopping it, right? Same thing here. These two contested each other. There's nothing else stopping it here. So you would target 2 to 1. This is a basic ICT entry on the fair value gap, stop loss below the first candle of the fair value gaps or the candle of the fair value gap if there isn't a first candle, and then you target 2 to 1. You can target 1.5 to 1, and then this would fall in line perfectly with the buy side liquidity. There's nothing testing the price action before that, so this would be an even safer bet, right? So here it needs to target this buy side liquidity and then do something with it. So it's either going to reject off it or blast through it, but it needs to come into this buy side liquidity. In a perfect world, right? At the end of the day, this could, because of this news that's coming out on Tuesday, it could just consolidate onto the news and then dump 1,000 pips in like 2 seconds, right? It could do whatever it wants. But if price action continues going the way we want it to, we're looking for it to come and test out this buy side liquidity again. And if you do like a 1.5 ratio, you should be able to get that trade in. Does that answer your question? Do you need another example? Spinning Coyote? Let me see if I have another one over here. Yeah, no worries. So then look, like right here, this is on the daily as well, right? So you see, this is what I was saying about the first candle. So you have one candle here, second candle. Remember, when we're talking about displacements, we're talking about big candles, right? Or big movement. So look at the size of these candles prior to this movement here. Big candle, big candle, big candle. Same thing here, massive candle, right? Compare the price action before. Look at these candles, pretty decent, big consolidation, and then big displacement here. 1, 2, 3. It's usually 3 candles when it comes to the fair value gap. Let's say, for example, you'll use this one, right? That's your second candle. Entry in the 50% mark. Stop loss below the first candle. And then target 2 to 1. Right? That's the theory behind ICT fair value gap entries. Remember, we're identifying points of interest on the higher time frame, so those are the areas that we want to focus in on. Does everybody feel comfortable with gold? Let me get thumbs up. I need 3 thumbs up in the Discord, and then we'll move on to Euro USD, aka Baby Nas. Boom, 2, 3, let's ride. Euro USD. This is sick. Right, so I identified these levels with you guys last week. Hopefully guys, hopefully you guys were able to play these out. We identified 2 bearish levels over here because we compared it to previous levels in July of this year and July of this year. Yeah, these are daily levels here. Right, so we can actually label that. Let's make it a little bit easier for you guys. We're gonna label it like that, so you guys can feel comfortable knowing that this is a recent level. We are not hitting all-time highs. We identified those 2 levels as areas in which the market would have reacted in a bearish momentum and a bearish move. Looks like we might actually be playing out already the bearish move, right? We did identify these 2 levels as well. So this was Sunday, last Sunday. We identified this level over here, and then this level over here as well. Looks like we got hit by some news because these candles are ridiculous in size, but they blasted through these 2 levels. These levels were mitigated, and we were looking for shorts, right? We identified 4 areas here, and we were looking for shorts in those 4 areas. Now, I did also draw out what I felt like was going to happen with the price momentum, right? So I drew it out to this daily time frame. I just blasted through it because of the news. The same thing applies, right? We can apply it here. You know, little movement to the downside. So it breaks through. That's what I was looking for it to break through. And then sharp movement down, right? Big candle, consolidate a little bit, which is what it's doing right there. And then another sharp candle down, which looks like it's going to happen tomorrow because look, there's news that's going to affect it. And then consolidation, another sharp candle, consolidation, another sharp candle. So it kind of like makes sense with this week. Every day you have news affecting this week. Now, I'm recording this. You guys can watch it throughout the week. Let's see if you know I'm right. If price action loves me and actually does what I wanted it to and makes sense, this TA should be in line with what's going to happen this week. So we see it already playing out. Sharp up, sharp down, sharp up, sharp down, consolidate, consolidate, sharp down, consolidate, sharp down, consolidate, sharp down, and then consolidate for a little bit. That's what we should be seeing. These 2 levels here are invalidated because it blasted through them. Full bodies of the candles have been blasting through. We're going to delete. These are the next 2 levels we're going to be focusing in on. And then for now, we're just waiting for the price action to play out. We're going to go down on a lower time frame to see price action a little bit clearer. We should see a tap into these levels here. This is a weekly, and this is a daily 4-hour 50% mark. 3 different time frames, higher time frame confluences in this area. we should see some price action being affected in this area as well. So levels here, July 2023 daily, you're looking at this coordinate 1.11596. Take a screenshot. Next, we're looking over here at the weekly. Coordinates are 1.10742. Right now, price action needs to play out. I can almost guarantee you I didn't cheat. We're gonna find a fair value gap, market structure shift, and a fair value gap on a lower time frame. Now make sure you're using EZAlgo SMC. Right? EZAlgo SMC is free with your EZAlgo subscription, and this will identify some fair value gaps for us, and then also tell us if we're doing a breaker structure or market structure shift. Now we identify the weekly, daily. We've identified that we've blasted through this daily right over here. Let's go down to 4 hour. Let's look for that beautiful market structure shift. Market structure shift, not quite, not yet. We do have a 4 hour fair value gap right here. So let's identify that, because we should see some price action there. If it breaks through, then it's going to continue to the downside. But we need to identify this level right here. This is daily fair value gap. 50% mark. Excuse me. This is a 4 hour. 4 hour fair value gap, 50% mark. You're looking for an intraday trade or a scalp off this area here. This is a point of interest. Coordinate for this is 1.08384. All right. And look how beautiful this is. This structure needs to have a candle closure underneath this order block here for it to be a market structure shift. It's getting there. But you see, we have one 4 hour fair value gap here, 2 4 hour fair value gap over here. Let's identify them. We can probably snipe a nice little entry in there on lower time frames. Obviously, we're going to color it red. We're looking for shorts, and we want to get that market structure shift. Red, red. We're going to label them 4 hour fair value gap, 50%. Right, coordinates for these levels are as well. You can take a screenshot. No worries, Jake, you can watch it on YouTube, right? So you can catch on this stuff on YouTube. I'll upload it live for you. Sorry, caps lock. Coordinates for this 4 hour fair value gap, 1.09764. Take a screenshot. And then the level above that, 1.09764. Wait, I just said that. Excuse me. Bottom one is 1.09372. Sorry about that. I do have a limit order here, because I was expecting for it to bounce off here, go up, get liquidity, which it looks like in line with this fair value gap, honestly. But watch those levels there. Now, does anybody have any questions in regards to the points of interest, right? The weekly fair value gap, daily fair value gap, 4 hour fair value gap. Does everyone feel a little bit comfortable with the Euro USD? And then do you also agree with the price action? Do you think that the price action is going to play out in the way that I expect it to play out? Or what do you see? What's your vision when it comes to like this price action for this week, especially with the news affecting Euro and USD? So pretty much this pair has news Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Every single day of this week, this pair has news. What do you guys feel about this? And don't be shy. Remember, we're all here to learn from each other and make each other better traders. So I got Wolf typing in the Discord right now. Let's go, Wolf. You think it's going to react the way I stated? It doesn't look like a double top pattern too. It does look, excuse me, like a double top pattern. Yeah, man, actually, this technically is an equal high. Right, so it's double top. So retail trading concepts, this would classify as a double top. Right over there. And then if you use it with EZAlgo, EZAlgo shows this as a reversal signal, that X, meaning that it's going to continue. And now the price action has changed. So you kind of have a good amount of confluences, right? You have the displacements to the downside right after this bullish move, equal highs, EZAlgo reversal signal printing, and now you have bearish fair value gaps on the 4 hour, which is technically a higher time frame, printing as well, right? So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Remember, I'm going to upload this video on YouTube. You guys can watch it. If it plays out exactly how I predicted, that's going to be freaking awesome. It's going to be awesome. And no worries, yeah. So RR5869, yeah, you can watch it whenever you like. It's going to go up on YouTube in a few hours, probably like an hour or two. It really depends on how fast YouTube can encode it. And that way you guys can keep up and identify the levels. And you guys can also use that as confluences when you're getting into trades. Let me get my checklist out here because this is going to confuse you guys. I will do one more pair. Does anybody have a recommendation for a pair they want me to chart up? Can't believe I left my checklist on this entire time. USD CAD. Yeah, I don't see why not. I have to add it to the chart. Remember, I have a thing with CAD pairs, so I kind of have it blacklisted. Let's add you, right? Meow. Let's start with weekly. Consolidation. Holy shit. So, it's consolidating, I'll tell you that. Let's make it P yellow. Because it's consolidating. Price action here. What do we got here? Tapped into it, broke through the fair value gap here, 50% mark. That's been tested. This is your next liquidity level here. All right. Let's label that March 2020. Let's say weekly. These are very important levels. Weekly liquidity 2020. March is what I said. That's at 1.43623. We are at equal highs. This is a triple top pattern if you're a retail trader. But I try not to base my entries or my trades on like double tops or double bottoms. There's so much more going on. We're in consolidation on the weekly. We've been consolidating since October. So top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. Just ping-ponging. Let's go on to the daily. I don't like this at all on the daily. I mean, we're bearish. Market structure shift to the downside. We tapped into this fair value gap over here. Continue downward. Massive displacement with these bearish engulfing candles. You have one here on the 2nd of November. You have another one here on the 14th of November. The bearish candles on average are bigger than the bullish candles that are forming. And there's a lot more of them, right? You can see that right there. You have more bearish momentum. You have two bearish daily fair value gaps that are open here. You have this one over here. And then you have another one down here. These are breaker structures, so it's continuation of the trend, right? Trend is your friend. Trade with the trend. Trend is your friend. We're going to label these red. And then we're going to identify these also as daily. Daily fair value gap 50% marks. Should continue down to the bottom of the range. I just don't like the way the price action is, honestly. Because it's ranging. Ranging markets are usually no bueno. Not good. Right, so this is what it looks like on the daily. Market structure shift to the downside. We are in a bearish trend until we get down here. All right, let's identify this area here as a buy side liquidity level. Coordinate for that is 1.31033. I do have a template. I put it as sell side liquidity. You can name it however you like. But how I'm looking at trading this is it would break through here. All right. So if you know the power of three, accumulation, manipulation, displacement, and the fact that we're in a range, it should in theory break through as a manipulation, collect liquidity, and then shoot up violently with a displacement. So we could actually tap into these daily fair value gaps on the way down, or it'll continue going through the sell side liquidity, take away all the liquidity that's in that area, and then shoot up violently to these two areas here. And then these two areas would be our take profit areas. Right now we are bearish, so we'll look into those areas as bearish positions. Mark your alerts on that. Let's go down to the 4 hour. You have two different fair value gaps. One here, and then one here on the 4 hour. And you did say you're on the 1 hour. So let's identify these. Let's mark them, right? They're on the 4 hour. This one's so close to the daily one. We're just going to use the daily one. We're going to label it as overlap. This one's going to be its own 4 hour. Coordinate is 1.34895. And then you said you were into the entry on the 1 hour. Let's see how it looks. Doesn't look bad, honestly. Price action looks pretty good. Hasn't tapped into the 4 hour. This is an incredible candle right here. Incredible candle. Bearish candle. Yeah, man, honestly, it's gonna continue right here. Accumulation. So if you believe in the power of three, accumulation here. Give me 1 second with my brush. And put you on my favorites. Accumulation. Manipulation. Displacement. That's what we're looking for. Because with the higher time frame, we are bearish. So we need to honor that bearish momentum. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you have your alert set for this 1.34548, also 1.34895, and 1.35291. Have those alerts set, watch those levels, wait for candle closures on the 1 hour, and yeah, just wait for it to play out. You said you're currently in a buy for this one. What's your take profit? Is it this fair value gap over here on the 1 hour? I would target the structure. This is the closest structure, which is 1.34756. What's your take profit? It's 1.3475. Yeah, so that's in line with what I'm looking at with 1 to 3 risk to reward. One thing I would suggest is moving stop to break even at 1 to 1, because this could actually dip right at the news, dip, take all the liquidity from everybody's stop loss, shoot up, and then dump. So that's what it looks like. So be very careful with the price action, especially through news. If you're at news and you're profitable, move your stop to break even. Hopefully it goes in your direction and then dumps, but move your stop to break even as soon as possible once you reach 1-to-1 RR, or if you're in the profit at whatever point right before the news. You do not want to risk that trade. But yeah, man, it looks pretty much what I'm on par with it. That's what I'm looking at. Power of 3, accumulation, manipulation, and then displacement. Manipulation. Looks like it's gonna hit right at the news too. Pretty cool, man. Honestly, like, there's so many different strategies out there. I honestly could be looking into buys while you're looking into sells, and we can still both be profitable, right? You could have been looking into sells at my stop loss, excuse me, at your stop loss at 1.3475. Someone else could have just been looking for sells there while you're in a buy position and you're taking profit there. It's crazy, right? So like, there's no one like 100% win rate strategy, and there's no better strategy than others. Like, everyone has their own like style to it and their own swag when it comes to the strategies, and there's just so many ways that everybody can win. But it's always good to know the fundamentals and identify your points of interest. Now, does anybody have any questions for me before we go tonight? Let me get the questions inside the Discord. Please ask questions, right? So like I said, this is a very casual video live session. We're here to learn from each other. Feel free, feel comfortable, ask me questions. We'll learn together. And if not, then I bid you all farewell. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Today is Sunday, December 17th. And thank you very much for being with me here on the last live session for this year, 2023. I want to thank you all for joining my live sessions and being a part of this great live sessions for the past few months. And happy New Year's to everybody. Happy holidays. Make sure you spend a lot of beautiful time with your families, and take a break from the trading sessions throughout the holidays, and really enjoy time with your family, right? But thank you all again. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of this Discord. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Have a beautiful rest of the year. And here's to a profitable 2024 together. Thank you all. Good night.